Hello. Today's episode number 112 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses more on payout returns. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Wisconsin. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is a podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it on my last episode, I went over more on Rewards Clubs Live from my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed West Virginia slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session.
Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel that helps you master casino slots so you can win your way to success. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you're with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots-related questions. I'll get to those later in the show. Today we're going to be diving into state-by-state theoretical payout limits and casino-by-casino return statistics as a winning advantage for slots enthusiasts. Turn that sound off so we don't have that again. So kind of working with a few more screens here. Hopefully I didn't interrupt anybody too much with my changes to starting today's show. I'm trying to, start at the last minute to see if I can get persuade a crowd to come in, but it looks like we got the same size, so I'm not sure that I'll do that again. People get used to joining in a certain way, and I hate to make changes, but sometimes there's winning advantages to not just slots. And with thinking like that, you could win a car at a casino, is a joke I sometimes use when I try these things. So yes, today we're going to be diving into payout returns. And so imagine you're playing a slot machine. How good is it? Are you winning anything? Losing? Do you know how well your slot machine performed last month or last year? What about the casino? How well did slots enthusiasts perform at that casino last month or last year? Each of these questions is centered around what I'll be discussing in today's live stream, slot machine payouts and returns. One way to improve your slot machine gambling performance is to better understand the ongoing development of state gaming regulations. Let me make sure there's no questions just yet. Hello, everybody who's joining. I'll check the live chat in a few moments, but I wanted to get started with our content for today. Make sure you ask your slots-related questions, and I'll get to those in a few minutes. Great to see the activity of people showing up. Wonderful. So payout returns can be a confusing term to use. Many slots enthusiasts use these words to describe a percentage defining how loose or tight a slot machine is. On loose slot machines, you win more often. Sometimes you win more as well as more often than on tight slot machines. Yet these payout returns are only half the story. In fact, there are 2 types of payout returns: theoretical and actual. So theoretical return is an electronic setting for the slot machine. An actual return is a record, an accounting record of the betting results recorded once the machine has been played for some period of time, like a week or a month or a year. I'll be going over both terms shortly so you can understand why knowing them yourself is a winning slots advantage. Make sure everything's... we have a hurricane impacting Louisiana area, part of Texas, and Jan, a regular member here, is here. And we were a little bit concerned that her luck was holding. There's been 3 hurricanes. Lucky Jan, TX Tootsie, Texas Tootsie in the chat. And apparently, if she's here, maybe she's got lucky a 3rd time and it missed. I don't know. We have to check in on her and see how she's doing. The storm definitely missed me. 40-mile-an-hour winds, pretty regular amount. Okay. She's lucky. Right. So that was of concern, and I wanted to address that quickly here. But let me in a little bit, I'll be going over both terms, payout, theoretical payouts, and return statistics, actual returns in a moment. So again, we can understand how knowing them and why knowing them is a winning advantage. But beforehand, let's focus on the importance of slot machine payout returns. A lot of slots enthusiasts use the term loose and tight. These are popular terms, which are entirely about slot machine payout returns. Loose slot machines mean has a higher payout, has higher payout returns, while tight slot machines have lower payout returns. Now, that may seem clear, but if you actually think about it for a minute, it's less than clear. There's some confusion. Do you? And so let's dig into that. For instance, you could have a casino advertisement on a billboard, right? Our slots are the loosest in the state. But what does that really mean? If they are being truthful in their marketing, which is possible, then they are saying that their slot machines have either the highest theoretical or actual payout return percentages of any casinos in their state, in their area. It is possible that such marketing is truthful due to the constant oversight of all casino activities by state gaming commissions. Loss of the casino's gambling license might well result from untruthful marketing. Casinos are unlike many other businesses in that being of good moral character and ethical behavior of corporate officers is not just is more than just a desire of corporate culture. It's a condition of having a gambling license or gaming compact. Put another way, a scandal can switch off a casino overnight. Remember the 2018 Steve Wynn scandal? Don't necessarily need to get into it. I have some, just if you type in Wynn scandal, and I'll just show this Google search Wynn scandal, you'll see, Steve Wynn resigns from company after sexual misconduct. Wynn Resorts executive concealed sexual misconduct. Steve Wynn fell fast after sexual misconduct claims. Lessons from Wynn Resorts sexual harassment scandal. Wynn Resorts, and one last one, Wynn Resorts to face regulators after last year's scandal. So this is not a minor thing for casinos. It might be a minor thing for, the president or chief financial officer of grocery store chain. It's not good for the reputation. Oh, hey, Joyce. Hey, ding, 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 ding. We've got, see, this is what I want to do. I want to interrupt everything when someone gives out a super chat. So Joyce, thank you for the super chat, which is something that became available about a week and a half ago. And it's great to see you here. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Excellent. I mentioned it last week, but I hadn't really mentioned it this week. So at the bottom of the live chat, if you hear live, is a icon with a little $sign, and you can do a super chat or you can do a super sticker and say something, and it'll grab my immediate attention. I need to have like a bell to ring or a sign or something. Thank you, Joyce. Much appreciated. So getting back to the Steve Wynn scandal of 2018, it wasn't just what he did. It was what the Wynn Resorts executive, they allegedly concealed his misconduct. The whole Wynn Resorts enterprise barely survived. But it's not just if casino leadership acts this way, but its moral and ethical behavior includes marketing. So we can talk more about the Wynn situation. What they were able to do was just, get Steve Wynn to resign. And then they had to, like I was mentioning on some of the search results, Google search results, they had to face legislators. They had a casino that was built and not yet opened. It was going to be Wynn Resorts. I'm not sure if they changed the name. Is that Boston? Encore. I think they had to change the name. These are major considerations. And so it impacted that casino. They were able to keep it together, but they had to make drastic changes. This ethical and moral behavior, this is how casinos must comply with state gaming regulations after 100 plus year history of slot machines in the United States. A lot of this, I put out a few videos about slot machine history, and you guys are not interested. But if I can have 5 seconds, I will say that organized crime used to be in casinos. This may go back to, American Prohibition, 1930s, but it's still a history. Like Kentucky state legislature just is death on gambling with casinos. They like horse racing, but not so much casinos. And they even have this tour on the other side of the Ohio River from Cincinnati. What is it? What was the name of that tour? It's like, it's a gangster tour. You can walk through the speakeasies, and it's now like a museum, and walk through the various locations. So, that's Southwest Ohio. And but despite this protection, where casinos must comply, all casinos in the United States must comply with these moral and ethical standards. Chief financial officers, what they call key employees, many states use the word key employees, have to undergo interviews and background checks on how ethical they've been. Can you imagine some of those interviews, right? But just because this protection is in place for you, that doesn't mean you can't be tricked. For instance, I mentioned that billboard. What was it? Loosest slots in the state, right? Let's see, where am I lost? Right. So perhaps it's the only casino in the state, right? Perhaps it said number one in jackpots in Cincinnati, when it's Cincinnati's only casino. I've driven by that billboard, a billboard that said that in Cincinnati, often enough at my local casino. Now, I was, when I lived closer, I was there all the time while it was a Horseshoe, before it got bought twice, and its business practices changed, but when it was still Horseshoe, but after I had won 90 taxable jackpots in 9 months and then a car, with the largest taxable jackpot being $27,000, I saw that sign early the next year. And I was like, I know the casino. It was number one in jackpots in Cincinnati. So I suppose they could, if they hadn't gotten a new owner, they could probably use it this year, years later, a couple of years later, because it was true once, sort of. Right. So based on my own play, I happen to know that it was already true, that it was certainly true once, but, like a previous year. But I knew from my personal experience that it wasn't true, this year. So the importance of slot machine payout returns comes down to an understanding for slots enthusiasts of both what is possible, determining the highest baseline returns of any available casinos, and comparing their financial performance to your slots play at other casinos. So in a few moments, I'll talk about what is possible. Chip, there is $5 up there because you've been missing a couple of shows. I think you might have missed the one about the Super Chat, where if you have a credit card, Chip, if you have a credit card, you can, or maybe a PayPal. I don't know all the options. You can donate an amount of your choice in the live chat, and that's wonderful. And Joyce has done so, and Jan did so last time, and that was wonderful of both of them. So thank you so much. And I definitely want to recognize those that do that. So, and I can do that. So I got to keep all this. Yeah. So there is Joyce's super chat. Thank you so much. I'll leave that up there for a few minutes. The larger the amount, the longer it stays up. I don't mean just on my screen, but in the live chat. It kind of like fades, but it stays prominent longer for the larger amounts. All right. Just letting you know how YouTube does things. Much appreciated. Maybe I should, before I get to this next section, maybe I should give you an update. I'm doing a little bit of consulting. As you may know, I was laid off. Technically, it began 2 months ago. Hey, Jan, thank you. Oh, now Jan has given an amount, and as soon as that shows up, I will post it. I have to sort of wait for things on my end. Jan has given a super sticker, and it's a little animated emoji that comes with it, and there it is. I don't know if you'll be able to see it's a super sticker, but I just think they're the cutest things ever. Right. So personally, I was laid off from my high-paying low six-figure salary aerospace engineering job, where I was a specialist on jet engine manufacturing, one aspect of that having to do with design. They let go for the company that I was at, 1 out of 3 people. So entire departments wiped out. And that flooded the market with people who have some of my skills, and there's no positions available. But I took a close look at what I had been doing, and I decided with Professor Slots, and I had already decided when I had a moment, I would begin to monetize and try to make it a business because of corporate culture reasons, and you only, when you have a job like that, you get paid by the hour, basically. And when you have a job like Professor Slots, then you can, it's if you have like an online course, which is where I'm headed here. If you have an online course, then people can take it, and if it's self-led, then 1 million people could take it, and it isn't limited by my availability. So I've decided to put together 2 courses. This is a quick update for those people who are interested. I've mentioned this months ago, so I have a few beta testers, and when that's the first course is ready, which will not be quick. There's a lot to do, but I'm working on it every day. And when that's ready, I'll run it through the beta testers and we'll fix whatever needs to be fixed. And then I'll roll it out to you guys. And it's more than a month away, at least. It's basically, I've decided on a tentative name, 30 days to master casino slots. And it's basically 30 days. You could do it all in one day if you don't sleep, I suppose. But basically, I've set it up as a steady pace, and you do one lesson per day, and it's 30 days. Now, the second one is going to be a follow-up for those people who want to meet with me. So we'll have weekly meetings, probably for an hour, 2 hours, something like that, once a week for 6 weeks, and we'll work through lessons. But it's basically going to be people who have taken the first course. And this will be my 2 selections. The first one's going to be relatively inexpensive. The second one's going to be up around minimum jackpot sizes. It seems like that would be a good number to use. And just to start off, to work out some of the bugs, I'll have it 25-40% off or something like that, just for the first few months. But that's my attempt to monetize. Besides the $5 from Jill and the $2 from Jan and other people who have been donating to me. Thank you all. But I need to get something of a larger ticket item out there. And I know you guys have been interested in the progress, and the progress is proceeding. I'm wanted to keep you updated, but I also didn't want to get your interest too piqued. And then have you wait too long. So I will give you another update in, say, a month and let you know percent completion or something like that. I'm used to having an engineering manager who wants to know the numbers and put it on a graph and any barriers to completion and other things. I'm so glad to let go of some of that stuff. So, so all these things are things I'm learning and things I will be providing as I grow. Very recently, we went over 1,000 subscribers, and now we're at 1,150 in a week and a half. And also, finally, I took something of the last month and didn't put out any videos other than our live streams because I was setting all this other stuff up and not making videos, but the videos are coming back on, and there will be quite a few of them next week and the week after and the week after, all the way through the end of the year. I've already got them all planned out, if not completed. So you should be seeing quite a bit of activity on YouTube, and we'll talk about that maintain these Saturday live Q&As in case you have a question about any of that stuff. I'll be happy to answer it, but I will be limited to 1 hour here. All right, so that's my quick update. Let's take a look at the live chat to see if I'm missing anything, and see if there's any comments any questions. So I'd like to catch up with this. Yep, we talked about Jan. She talks about 40-mile-an-hour winds and a regular amount of rain, but today was sunny and warm, and she's responding to other people in the live chat saying no, she's not going to move. So Jan is a super fan, is a word to use, and not just because of the super sticker. We like to keep up with how she's doing. She loves the coast. So Steve is also here. He's in Wisconsin, Green Bay, and hopes everybody's doing good. And let's see, we have Joyce is here again. Welcome. And Chip is here. Chip is in Ohio. I am also in Ohio. I don't know, Chip, when you say Buckeye State of Ohio, as a University of Michigan graduate, 2 middle ones, twice graduate, I'm a little kind of concerned about Buckeye State of Ohio, but I will let it pass because it's not personal. Go Blue. Anyway, right. So, yes, Sally has been trying to be with us during the live chat, and she's here. I agree with you. Yay. Yeah. Joyce says the information you give us every Saturday is certainly worth at least $5. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to be helpful. And but it's interesting trying to convince people of this. I told somebody how to go one of the other winning strategies, how to go the next morning right afterwards after a big event. Was it Labor Day or Memorial Day? Labor Day, and they went, and it was just like this. They won like a $5,000 jackpot. And I was like, and they were like, thank you so much. And this reminds me of my sisters, who I constantly mention, who were waitresses. And even my brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law, and all this. And they explained this whole waitress thing where somebody gives you the verbal tip. Oh, thank you so much for feeding our family and taking such good care of us. Thank you so much. Thanks. and they're just like, oh, come on, hand it over. So I mentioned that I have a tip donation option on PayPal. It's on the side articles of if you go to my website, again, I'm not encouraging you to do this. I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from, what I'm trying to do. And if I, show you this, yeah. And if you go to any of my articles, I'll go to this one. Come on. And try to do this live. No, actually yeah. So this is, if you're at an article, they're over on the side. It's not on the main page. It's something called, is that showing up yet? Yeah. There's something called Tip the Professor, and that'll take you to PayPal, and you can give me a tip. But anyway, just to get back to the story, I had mentioned to this gentleman who had won this large jackpot, I had said, so you want to tip me $100? How much did you tip the slot attendant? Maybe you could tip me, and we'll have to see if I'm illustrating this point to let you know that, this may not work out. People, don't like giving up money. I'm providing a valuable service, and I'm happy to do that, but I'm growing a business. And unlike many other recreational gambling podcasts, I have to replace my income. So yeah, I'm trying to be as helpful as possible, but ultimately, I need to have a product. But I'm not holding anything back. The courses that I'm working on will be clear, concise process, step by step, while, we're just basically picking a topic every weekend and going over that. But, it's up to you to read, listen to 100 hours of podcasts and read all of my articles and sort of figure out how to, approach your plan on winning at slots in your state and at your casinos, and without my help, unless you pay for a consulting session where we do that, or take the course. People have done that. People in the live chat have just basically gotten out a notebook and just filled it with notes on coming to these live streams and reading my articles and have figured it out and been successful. I'm looking at you, Chip. I'm looking at you, Chuck. And that's fine and good. But a lot of people want the convenience. Texas Jackpotter Slots has given me a super sticker of 99 cents. Thank you again so much. I had no idea if this was going to catch on. So let's try to move forward here. What else is there in the live chat? Let me take a quick look. Let's see. How about sponsoring a visit to your casino and sponsors get to split half your winnings? I've had people make that suggestion. I don't know if you're kidding or not, because some people are quite serious about that. John, what if I give you like $1,000? You go to the casino and whatever you win, you just give me the winnings, and maybe I'll give you a 20. I was like, why don't I just take my own $1,000 and keep everything? And limiting because there's only so much time you can spend in a casino. You cap out pretty fast, right? If I were to travel the country every weekend, well, there's only 52 weekends, and then I'm done. I need to sort of bypass some of those things. Right. So thank you, Texas Jack Potter Slots, for the super sticker. I need a bell. I need a bell or something. Right. So, and yeah, Sally says I'm definitely growing quick. I'm not sure. I went over 1,000 subscribers a week and a half ago, and so I have started monetization and having some ads. I need to not just give you the facts. I need to sort of explain where I'm coming from. Bruce, ding, 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 ding. Bruce has the record. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is wonderful. I appreciate the $20 tip. But just to continue to giving everybody value, we could talk about, I'm distracted by the live chat, which is fantastic today. If I just gave you the facts, then I'm a dictionary, nobody likes a dictionary. So I have to give you some personal stuff just so you understand both where I'm going, what I plan to have available for you, how hard I'm working to get those things for you. I'm happy to do so. But on the other hand, I'm trying to, in order to be able to, everything's going to get shut down. If I can't succeed at this. I've given myself about a year and a half where I'll make every effort to succeed. After that, if I am not supported by an audience, which might not be your fault, it's whether people are willing to, if they have a credit card. And they're willing to give me something for what I'm providing, and otherwise it won't work. I see how the super chat works. There's a little timer on it. Wonderful. I can see it on my screen. You can see it in your live chat, and it kind of counts down. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bruce, for showing me how that works. And I will ignore the comment about Go Green, Michigan State University from Jan. And Richard Wise Virgin asked what my college degrees are. The top row are graduate degrees. The middle row is, see, I can kind of like point. That's the PhD. That's basically an MBA for engineers. It's a engineering management degree. And then this one over here, that is a master's of applied physics from Iowa State University. Bachelor's degree. This one is which one is it? That's the Bachelor's of Science in Engineering Science. And then the one over here is Bachelor's of Arts. Yes, Arts in Physics. And then these are associate's degrees because I worked my way through college and I wasn't prepared in high school. And that's kind of my route that I took. I have started at the University of Dayton for my 9th degree, but it's on the 10-year plan. And at this point, my former employee was paying for that. And that's my college degrees. And if you kind of like consider them, they all sort of fit together to explain how slot machines work, because I understand machines very well. I understand statistics, understand engineering processes and the physics behind it. So who knew? I tell people I'm not great with people, but I'm great with machines. And this is how I roll. Okay. Chuck says, would be happy to provide bankroll and you could demonstrate that your methods work. Win-win. Actually, the details there are hard. How would I possibly demonstrate this? I can't take photos inside the casino without a contract with the casino. And even then, I don't have contracts with the slot manufacturers. I could do that, but there's a whole interview process. So basically, I'm trying to show my comp gifts and other things. But one of the things, once I get out of this initial, rush, YouTube came late, and I've been on the website and podcast for a long time. I'm trying to jump on getting YouTube sort of caught up with things. And it turns out it's probably the best thing I ever could have done was getting on YouTube. But I did it last. All right. So I got some catching up to do probably through the end of the year. But one of the regular things I want to do when I'm not working on, developing a course, which I think is, what I'm going for as far as my solution, would be doing casino reviews, to just go to a casino weekly, at least, and just review them. I've got multiple reviews on my website. Did I start with? I didn't really start with it. I think the second or third one was, just going to my father's favorite casino and taking his friends, some who are on this live chat, and my father may even be watching. He doesn't log in, but he may be there, and he watches regularly, and show him how to win at his casino. So yeah, it's part of it, but I have to decide what comes first and prioritize. The degrees provide credibility. Anyway, I love talking about the business. You can see that. Moving on, Bruce is in Belton, Missouri, gambles in Oklahoma at several of the 130 casinos. Yeah, it's hard to get a good count on the casinos. Some of them are gasinos. I usually say 108 largest. But yeah, 130 is about right. Thank you for saying I'm doing awesome. I appreciate that. Yes, I have confidence. I've got time. If you want to, send good thoughts, send them to my coworkers. They don't have a YouTube channel. They're the ones that are just like the rug's been pulled out from under them. Those are the ones that I worry about because they don't have an option. Hey, Jingwalk, thank you for the, I always have to make sure which one is which, super chat this time. Much appreciated. And I had no idea, they say mention this. And anyway, as you get past 1,000, you get these new features, and I'm learning them. I even have a community tab now. I have to figure out what that is, how to use it. Thank you, Bruce, for saying, remember to tip and reward me with one spin. How much do you bet? That's a fine thing to do. And let me show Jingwalks. Okay, let's get back to the show. Chris from Minnesota. Thank you, Jingwalk. Much appreciated. Let's get back to great content for you. You guys are very good at distracting me. I'm gonna put this on you. Anyway, each slot machine has both a theoretical as well as an actual payout return, usually given in percentages. When I want to make a distinction between the two terms, I've often used the terms theoretical payout limit for the gaming regulation requirement and actual return statistics for reports from the casinos back to the State Gaming Commission. But sticking with the general term of payout returns for now, terms similar to slot machine payout returns is hold percent and win percent. These are related as hold percent equals 100% minus win percent. The reverse also happens to be true. 100% minus win percent is hold percent. 100% minus hold percent is win percent. It just means that if you have a 99% win percent, then you have a 1% hold percent, and the hold percent would be the 1% that the casino keeps, or 5% or 8%. Yes, I know I just use math. I apologize for using math, but not to all of you, just those of you that are in the early morning hours in, say, Hawaii. I'm looking at you, Nye. In essence, payout return is the amount of money won divided by the amount of money lost during a gambling period. These gambling periods might be for a single session of play at a casino, over the course of a month of gambling, or even for a full year. As you might imagine, As you might imagine, an electronic record is kept for each slot machine's performance by the casino. In part, the casino operator uses these records to better understand actual performance versus planned performance of each slot machine. Other statistical information, yes, I'm talking about statistics. Other statistical information can be gleaned if desired, such as performance of groups of slot machines, as well as the overall casino property. So player appeal, what parts of the casino do people seem to be in, and that sort of thing. There's a lot that can be picked up by the casino by this performance. And what if you don't? I know I put out a survey, and I put out another survey very recently, which is available. I don't know if I can bring that up fast enough. But if you're on my mailing list and if you're on my Facebook groups, then you can. Yesterday I put out a poll, and please respond. It's one question poll, and this last one is about: do you turn off the sound that happens after you win anything at all? Do you turn off the roll up, or do you just enjoy listening through the end and let it finish by itself? So check out those places if you haven't seen it already. And right, I'll put a link in the description of this video and in the podcast show notes later. So typically, payout returns are only discussed in terms of slot machines. It isn't practical to have this information in terms of a player. Why? Because this statistical information is only useful if there's a lot of data. And even the more ardent slots enthusiasts don't play much if compared to groups of slot machines at a casino. Now, what would be great would be if, a player club card could tell you how much you spent, how much you won, what exactly happened, all those things. But a card is not, a USB drive. It is not a flash drive. It is not a jump drive, whatever you want to, call it. These sorts of USB devices, you don't, you don't get that from the casino. And win-loss statements, they just vary across the board. No casino's identical to another casino. Some might get close, but it's, really, there's no standard. And so it would be, you have a card in there, but that's in large part for the casino. The casino gives you something like comps and, being able to call for a drink. They've given you something so you use it for them, for their needs, but they give you something in response. But there's so much more that could be done, but isn't going to be done because it could help you win. And why would they do that? I don't mean to be cynical, but seriously, what business reason would there be? Slot enthusiasts have no practical way to collect the amount of each individual bet along with its outcome. Which slot machine was that? That happened on, and you can't do that without some kind of electronic gaming tool device. Now, I recently got an email from an individual who was like, well, I was thinking about developing this sort of thing. And I'm like, I've read the state gaming regulations. In most states, if you use an electronic device, it's called a gambling tool. And it's a felony to use these gambling tools to win. How different is, to have something on this. This is why I don't videotape at casinos. Yeah, okay, there's some successful YouTube channels that do that sort of thing, and it's fun to watch. I agree, it's fun to watch, but how long term is it? It's copyright violation after copyright violations. People say, well, and we've had some of them on here. And honestly, I just don't see the long-term viability. It's like there's, is it Due for a Win or something like that? One of the recreational gambling podcasts, and they say, well, we're recreational. We're not into a business. So we can show audio clip from Robert De Niro in Casino at the beginning of their podcast, and I think they're up to episode 700 or 800 at this point. The first one started back in 2003 or something like that, and that's just begging for trouble. You have to take all that stuff down legally if you get a DMAC notice, which is what the owner can do, and it has to be taken down, and they could just lose everything. If they choose not to do it, it's $250,000 per violation, suing. And so I just don't see that as a viable business approach, too risky. And so I don't record at casinos. I have had a couple of seconds that I've shown in a couple of videos, but it's all I have. And now I just take a picture of the outside of the casino from the street, and that's what I use in my reviews primarily. It's a tough point, but, ethical and moral, right? And no copyright infringements. I'd kill you fast if you do that sort of thing eventually. Right. So what is important for slots players is to record their overall performance, including date, gambling establishment, bankroll, and any winnings. There's multiple reasons to do this, including income tax preparation purposes. But you can also take that same information and it's a practical sort of this practical gambling record keeping, which I'll be going over in future videos, it can't accurately be calculated by winnings divided by bankroll due to bankroll cycling, but we can do it in other ways. So in a busy casino environment, how do you get your own win percent? How do you get your own hold percent? And how do you do that in a practical way without using, some gambling device? Well, let me tell you, in the busy casino environment and adhering to the restriction of not using an electronic gaming tool, there is a simple way to keep track of a player's payout return. I use it all the time. It has another purpose for income tax preparation purposes, but what you're trying to do is keep track of what I've spent compared to my original bankroll amount. How much did I put into the machine at the very beginning before the first bet, and then keeping track of how much I bet. All right. You probably automatically started thinking about, how much I won. And I'm like, no, that's later. How much did you originally put in? What is that in credits, right? It's a $1 machine. That's easy. Every dollar is one credit. So you put $100 bill into a $1 machine, and you look at the counter, and it says 100 credits. I'm doing some of this stuff just to make it easy. 100 credits. If it was a quarter machine, it would be 400 credits. But don't worry about converting back and forth to dollars. Just go with credits, because that's what the machine often provides the most. So you put in some money. How many credits is that? Okay. Stick that number in your head. All right. Remember it. You'll need it later. Then do what you normally do. You bet. All right. You count. Are you making a, 1 credit bet or 2 credit bet, 3 credit bet, penny machines, 50 credit bet? How many credits are you betting? And just count them. If penny machines are a little harder because it can be like odd numbers, 130, and so per bet, and just count how many credits you have. And when you get to that number that you remembered, that original bankroll amount that you put into the machine, right? If you get to that, when you get to that number, you've spent as much money as you had put in. Now, look at how much money you have left. All right. That's when you look at it and say, what's my balance? Because that balance is everything that you've won on that first bankroll. Is it more or less than your original bankroll? If it's more, you're winning. If it's less, you're losing. But maybe you're only losing a little bit. And you're like, well, it's good. I'm willing to come to the casino, spend $1 or $2. Bruce, I have to say that idea of, tip me the amount of a single bet that you make is a great idea. I'm going to have to remember that and use that. A great idea. I'm just always thinking. So, right. So you can do that. Now, one caveat, and there's always these little subtleties that, first just do that. Just do what you normally do, but count the number of credits that you bet and compare it to what you originally put in. All right, just add one little thing. That should be easy enough, because I know some of the stuff can be difficult to implement. But after you get used to that, start making another change. Maybe you already do it, which is after about 20 bets, decide whether you want to stick with that machine. Maybe, look and see how you're doing and see if the credits on the machine are about what you, put in originally, because then it's kind of going well. But if it's higher, that's great. But was it just one jackpot or was it just a lot of small jackpots? So, is the bankroll that you have in the machine keeping up with your original bankroll amount? And that'll give you a guide on whether or not, your selection, your choice of a candidate slot machine is a good one or not. But the counting is what you do, because there's something you can get from that. We could call it analysis if you want to, but I don't want to scare you. You count how much you've bet up to the amount of credits you put in originally. And then you say, well, is this acceptable? Is this more than I made? Is it, because at that point, it's your first decision point. Oh, look at that. It's twice as much of my original bankroll. Maybe you go home. Maybe you decide to continue to play and see if you can continue that. These are choices that are going to be in front of you. Maybe it's a little bit less. Maybe you only have an 80%. You put $100 in, and after spending $100, you have $80 in the machine that you've won. And you might say, well, I could keep doing this, for a while, and it's perfectly acceptable because it's been kind of fun. But if you've got a lot less left, I've played machines where there wasn't anything left. And that's why I mentioned before, you want 20 bets in or so. You just want to see how it goes and decide to run because it's just so bad. Or that it's not too bad and you stick around. So this is a quick way for you to get your own personal payout return for your play on one slot machine. This is the concept that the State Gaming Commission does for its state and what the casino does for its entire set of collection groups, even groups, all the high limit, all the low limit, should we get more penny machines? Look at the numbers. We should get more penny machines. They do this analysis. And this is an easy way for you to do it just by remembering a number, one constant, and then another number, and it grows until it reaches that number. And then you make a decision. Do you stay or do you go? Now, if you go through, I can understand why you might want to, you make more than you put in. But really it's up to you to decide whether you want to risk that win or if you want to go. I was on American Gaming Association. They had a webinar about, responsible gambling. And one of the things I asked the questions and asked a question. I was lucky enough to get them. They gave me an answer from the panel. And that question was, for us on YouTube, what do we do if people, need to have some information on responsible gambling? Sure, I have a website article, a website page with resources worldwide on where to seek help. I'm not a medical professional myself. We all know problem gamblers. So when I talked to them about this, what should our approach be? Do we ignore the whole thing or what? And they said, make it part of the conversation. So I just wanted to bring it up. When you win after spending your whole bankroll and you've got as much or more left, whether you stay or whether you go is, that's a big decision, but it's your decision. And, but certainly if you were to, one thing I would say not to do almost under any circumstance is if you don't want to go home, if you don't choose to go home, I wouldn't go to another machine unless you think there's another machine. Maybe it's the time, date, slot machine. Time is coming from a prior winning strategy 7 that I've talked about, a win, walk away, return later. If you, one of those times coming up, then maybe that's when you walk away from that machine. But if you planned on staying at the casino, why would you leave that machine? You're winning. The only reason why you would be is if you think that there's another win coming up based on some of my other strategies where you're like, well, I could stay and win a little or leave and, maybe win something big. And what do we call that? What do we call that? We call that gambling. So anyway, I wanted to circle back and say that. Let's take a look at the live chat and see if I'm missing anything that's been going on. I'd love to see all the comments. That's wonderful. Chip, I have a business address and he sends me a check, and weekly, more or less, right? And small, and but nice, and appreciated. And that option is available. The address is on the bottom of the footer of my webpage at professorslots.com, on any page. And and he agrees with Bruce. John is worth a spin. Right. So the last little bit here is, where do you get the payout returns? And that's what I wanted to share over here on this screen. So if you go to my the sad news is every state is different. Okay. And a lot of people play slots in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is one of those places where it ain't available. So let me get rid of that. And where's this at? There we go. All right. So if you go to my website, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, I'm going to try to highlight some things. If you go to state by state, this little tab here, it looks a little bit different. It's kind of like a drawdown menu if you look on a mobile device, which about half of you do. Statistics, right? But there's the first entry here is a summary article. And this is my online resource. It took me a year to build it. I had week by week, I went through. Week by week, I went through each state and researched it and wrote it up. And then I have this summary article that, I give to people and say, because they don't necessarily say what state it is, and that they're in. And so each state has a corresponding Facebook group, a Facebook group, free, of course. And this is links to each one of those. Like Ohio would be here. And so you would come up with my Ohio Slots Enthusiast Facebook group, and 66 members, right? And Oklahoma's 440, I think I saw earlier today. And then at the bottom of this is just scrolling page after page is Alabama, Alaska, American Samoa slots. I'll have to fix that. And so the next update is the 20th, 10 days from now, where I start my fourth time through this series. And this is a resource for you. So let's go to Alabama slots. And so this is the article on Alabama, the one I am reviewing now for putting up an additional, putting up the 2020 version, because basically I wait a year. It's 56 weeks, so that's actually 13 months. And I review what's happened in the last 13 months. And I do this every week on the next one, the next one, the next one. And I've been through all states, territories, and our federal district 3 times. So I'm now starting the 4th time through, and I'll update this. It has a link to the podcast, because I put this at the end of my podcast. And so those of you listening know, I put an episode and it starts right in that section of the podcast. So I'll update this with the net when I put this out. Podcast next 111, is it 111, 112 episode comes out tomorrow. And I post it then. But I also make a video. This is not something you'll generally find on my YouTube channel. It's what's called unlisted, because I saw that, if I talk to any one of my YouTube subscribers, there's a 1 in 56% chance, 2% chance, basically, slightly less, of that person actually being from any random state. So I just find this not to be helpful, and not to be helpful to my YouTube analytics. So I unlist them. But if you go to any one of these, and it's real easy to remember, professorslots.com/ the 2-letter postal designation for your state. All right. Easy to find. professorslots.com/OK. professorslots.com/OH for Ohio. professorslots.com/MI for Michigan. So it'd take you right there. And some legal statutes, what's the gambling age, some other things that matter, maybe a little bit, just at least a little bit of history, particularly if it's interesting history and recent history, whether or not you can own a slot machine privately and what the restrictions might be. Does it have to be an antique? Does it not be an antique? Then I go over the gaming board, and there's always going to be a link if there is a gaming board. Some of them kind of don't have one, particularly those with tribal casinos. Sometimes every tribe has its own gaming board, but if it's commercial casinos, then they have one. And Alabama just has tribal casinos. Actually, yes. And so for this example, and you can click on those links and it'll take you to the Gaming Commission. And then later, I talk about the casinos, which one's the largest, second largest, whether, what's the list of commercial casinos, what's the list of tribal casinos. There is a Greyhound Park. There's a casino at a Greyhound Park in Alabama. That's the commercial casino. And also I try to put in, if they have cruise ships, particularly gambling boats, but also international cruise ships. So tribal casinos, there's 3. I provide a map like this. So altogether there's 5. And then I talk about the surrounding states, because if you're on the border, like some of you are in Texas, but gamble in Louisiana or gamble in Oklahoma, I have this, what's that link to that other state that's on the border, Facebook page. And then this is the section we're talking about today. Alabama, payout returns in Alabama. And I have one for every state. And if there isn't anything, I tell you. If there is something, I tell you where to find it, and there's links. So I look up both the theoretical payout limits. Sometimes there's a lower limit. Sometimes there's an upper limit. Sometimes also an upper limit, and sometimes there's neither. And that's important. And then I also provide links to, what the payout return statistics would be. Every state's a little bit different. Those of you who have it, use it. Those of you that, have one or the other, use it. Those of you who don't have either, well, not everybody has this. And then the ones who do have it, some of them, there's only like 6 states, which I was going to go over, that have this all divided up by slot machine denomination. So you can you can learn from these things, even if your state doesn't have it, because by golly, come on, where's my mouse? Right. So I have a list here that I wanted to give you, which is, where is that? It is my notes. Right. Colorado, Connecticut, Louisiana, Mississippi, Nevada. Oh my God, Nevada. Example to the rest of us, and South Dakota. These are all states which have slot machine return statistics by slot machine denomination. And so you can look at these, even if you're in Oklahoma where they don't have this, you can look at it and say, man, why would every one of those is like, penny machines are like the worst possible thing you can play, unless you're playing Mega Bucks in Las Vegas, which is actually worse. So, you can learn from these and, shave off some losses. Plenty of people that I've talked to are winning enough. They just need to lose less often, and then the balance is profit. So, quick questions in the live chat. Okay. Jingwalk says that there's a classic aristocrat slots, have a narrow glass window above the main screen, shine a light in there. And you can see totals, mechanical totals. Sure, I doubt that's classic, right? There's plenty of things that don't work anymore that used to, so Sally says she needs to know about WinStar mainly. Do they have a 5-pull taste? I think you were the one that asked on the Facebook group, and I haven't tried it there. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get out there. I try the 5 pull test on every casino that I review, and some have it and some don't have it. And so far it's been about 1 in 3. So you got a 1 in 3 chance. If it doesn't work, Borders isn't in the same town, go to the Borders casino and see if it's there. So, I don't want to start some sort of database, where it's just like, which casino? Let me look it up. Oh, no, we have a report out. But that's what the whole Facebook groups are about. Talk amongst yourselves, boots on the ground. Share what you're finding works and doesn't work in your casino, that's where that's what I have set up for everybody nationwide. Right. So. Sally says, no, but nothing makes me crazier than watching someone keep feeding a machine that's giving nothing. What's the definition of crazy? Trying something again and again and expecting the results will change. So, hey, we have a new person, Ace of Death 123. As far as bankrolls go, how much would you recommend for high limit? So if you look at my casino candidate slot machines video, or go to my website for that article, I recommend being able to have 120 bets. All right. So, define your bankroll for 120 bets. And that would be what you need for one slot machine. At 20 bets, you decide whether you want to continue. But if you decide to continue, then you want to give it a chance to play. And I say anywhere between 100 and 120 bets. That means high limit, low limit, doesn't matter. You take how much bankroll that you have and you divide it by 100, and that's how much, or 120, and that's how much you would want, maximum you'd want to bet on a machine. All right. If you don't have that much money to play, if it comes down to $1 bets, then, that's not high limit. But if you come down to, I wouldn't mind spending $2,500 on a slot machine, on a $10, $15 bet slot machine, well, then you can do that because you'll have enough to let it play. And that's my recommendation, being able to make 120 bets. It isn't really a high limit thing or a low limit thing. Also, so time already. Yes. Thank you, Paula, for saying the time. We're like 5 minutes over. I don't think I've ever gone over. Yes, I agree. Jan, great show today. And I thank you. Thank not just you. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the super stickers. And thank you, everybody. You've made it a great show. Wish me luck. Be sure to tip, and enjoy yourself at the casino. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Wisconsin slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. Wisconsin slot machine casino gambling consists of 24 tribal casinos. Illegal video gambling machines exist in bars and taverns throughout Wisconsin. Tribal state gaming compacts have minimum and maximum theoretical payout limits. Annual return statistics are publicly available for all tribal casinos. The minimum legal gambling age in Wisconsin depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's 21. For poker rooms, bingo, the lottery, and pari-mutuel wagering, it's 18. Tribal casinos in Wisconsin have negotiated tribal state gaming compacts. However, each city or county must agree to both the development of a local tribal casino as well as the games offered at its site. Further, many bars and taverns in Wisconsin have illegal video gaming machines. Having up to 5 machines results in civil forfeiture without legal repercussion, while more than 5 machines are instead a criminal offense. Anyone playing pay-to-play, bar-based slot machines must be at least 21. Otherwise, owners break a different law, this one having severe legal consequences for their business. Electronic gaming machines in bars and taverns which are free to play with no prizes of any value are not illegal under Wisconsin's gaming regulations. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Wisconsin, it is legal to own a slot machine privately if it is 25 years old or older. Wisconsin's gaming division has gaming regulatory responsibilities, including licensing procedures, background investigations, and regulatory enforcement activities. The division's area of focus for tribal gaming is the Office of Indian Gaming and Regulatory Compliance, created by tribal state gaming compacts. The office's purpose is to ensure regulation of Class III games at casinos operated by Wisconsin's 11 tribes. In this section, I'll discuss Wisconsin gambling establishments. There are 24 American Indian tribal casinos in Wisconsin. The largest casino in Wisconsin is Potawatomi Hotel and Casino, with over 2,500 slot machines. The second largest casino is Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin Dells, with 2,200 slot machines. There are no commercial casinos in Wisconsin. There are 24 tribal casinos in Wisconsin. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list and map is on my webpage for this state at professorslots.com/WI. As an alternative to enjoying Wisconsin slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Wisconsin is to the north, Michigan, to the east, Lake Michigan, to the south, Illinois, and to the west, Iowa and Minnesota. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit professorslots.com, followed by its two-letter postal designation. For example, my Michigan Slots article is available at professorslots.com/MI. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Wisconsin? If so, join our Wisconsin Slots community on Facebook at professorslots.com/FBWI. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Wisconsin. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, professorslots.com/FBWI. Join us. Written into Wisconsin's tribal state gaming compacts are minimum and maximum theoretical payout limits. These limits apply over the expected lifetime of the game. Each tribal state compact has set minimum and maximum payout limits. However, there are two sets of limits, both of which apply over the expected lifetime of the game. Games of chance, that is to say slot machines, 80% and 100%. Games of skill video games, poker, blackjack, etc., 83% and 103%. For each machine, tribal casinos report to the state both its theoretical payout and actual return statistics. However, this valuable information is not available to the public. An annual return statistic is publicly available for all tribal casinos combined in Wisconsin, although casino hold percent comes from dividing tribal net win by handle data. Player win percent is from subtracting hold percent from 100%. In 2019, the most recent year available, the annual return statistic was 92.76%. This player win percent is up from 2017's 92.48% and 2018's 92.61%. In summary, Wisconsin slot machine casino gambling consists of 24 tribal casinos. Illegal gaming machines exist at many bars and taverns, but only 5 or more machines results in a criminal offense. Tribal state gaming compacts have established 2 sets of theoretical payout limits, including minimum and maximums. For games of chance, such as slot machines, these limits are 80% and 100%. The 2019 return statistic was 92.76%. Over the last year, there's been no significant changes in the slots gaming industry in Wisconsin. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by any time during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in the U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Wyoming. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at professorslots.com/episode 112. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.